Hey guys, it's me, the Alpha Empath, and I'm going to get transparent with you guys today. So, beginning next month, January 7th, I decided to start teaching my students a new series in the Reconnecting to the Divine Feminine class. But this month, we are dealing with toxic traits. So, I made my ladies dig down deep to figure out what their toxic traits were. But I'm not going to make them do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. So I started recognizing my own toxic traits, and I have my toxic traits written down. So if anybody want to know them, I can just give them to them. Here it is in the binder. Here is the blueprint, the instruction manual for Tiffany. This is what it is. So I know what they are. But I decided, let me go ahead and dig down a little bit deeper, because one of the toxic traits that I have is I am overly competitive. Overly competitive. And a little bit of competition can be a really, really healthy thing, but there is something within me when it comes to competition, and I like competing with men. That's what I like. I like competing with men, and that's one of the reasons why I entered into a 90% male-dominated arena called financial services, because I get a joy out of seeing the man that's on his throne and kicking him off of it and sitting in his seat. Now, I know that that's sick. I know it is. But I said I'm dealing with my goddamn toxic traits, okay? So I'm dealing with them, okay? So I'm talking to my students. And I asked them, I said, hey, don't just tell me your toxic trait. Help me to understand why you have this toxic trait. Because if you don't understand why you have it, you are not going to be able to fix it, okay? You're not going to be able to fix it. So the reason why I'm overly competitive is because I grew up with the father. I'm his firstborn. I grew up with the father. He wanted a boy. He got me, okay? And he had this drive. My father has this serious drive where he's like, Tiffany, be better, be good. It's a sin not to win. You got to win every race you face. There is no such a thing as a loser that has my last name. You have to win. And when I won, he acknowledged me. But when I did not win, he did not acknowledge me. So in order to gain his approval, I just kept performing, overachieving, stepping on people's toes, stepping on people's heads in order to get to the top. Not because I wanted to get to the top, because to be honest with you, I really don't really give a fuck about that, but to be approved by him. So I could call my father and say, hey, Dad, listen, I finally won. Will you accept me now? Look what your baby girl did. Listen, you should be proud of me now. Hopefully this will erase all of my mistakes and I will finally gain your approval. Well, as I said, I recognize this as a toxic trait, and I also recognize that it gave me an imbalance in my masculinity. It made me overly masculine. So I decided, I don't want to be too masculine, because that's not good for me. That's my own personal choice. So I left financial services because I didn't like what it turned me into. But as I was teaching my class on Thursday, that next day, Friday, I awakened with my son. I went to the passport office to get his passport. So me and my son's father, my ex-husband, we went down to the passport office, and I had to bring my birth certificate. And as the lady was asking me for my son's documents, my ex-husband's documents, and then she asked for my documents, and I looked at my birth certificate, and Spirit said, look down. And I looked down, and for the first time in my life, I noticed that my father did not sign my birth certificate. And I don't know, y'all, I'm about to get emotional now, to be honest with you, but when I saw that man did not sign my birth certificate, something tore at my heart. Something tore at my heart, because some years ago, he said something. He dropped a poisonous seed within my spirit. And it was around 2006, I believe, 2006. And for some reason, I was just disenchanted with Christianity. I was just disenchanted with Christianity. I was. And I wanted to explore different religious aspects. I wanted to know God for myself, not just the God that my father told me about, but I wanted to have my own personal relationship. So I said, Father, I need to kind of explore. I want to explore what being a Buddhist means. I want to explore Islam. I want to explore the Torah. I want to explore being a Hebrew Israelite. I want to explore Catholicism. And I just had this thirst to learn all I could about how people view God. And my father hated it because he's been a pastor since I was 2. So over like 40 something years or so. And he told me I was being a child of the devil. Now, I have 8 sisters and 1 brother. And at this time, I was living in my father's house with my siblings. My father, he raised us, okay? I was raised by my father for a good major part of my life, okay? And I'll never forget, he told me, he said, listen, don't you call my children by my wife. Those are my legal children. I didn't even marry your mother. And when he said that to me, I didn't know how poisonous it was. I knew that it deeply hurt me, but I didn't understand why it hurt me, because all of my life I had known that I was illegitimate. I had always known that, but I didn't understand subconsciously the feelings and the belief systems that that knowledge was giving me. See, because I was illegitimate and he made a point of telling me that, I felt like it was my obligation to show him that I was worthy of legitimacy. I didn't even know I was thinking like that. And that's why I tried so hard to prove myself to him. So here I am last Friday looking at my birth certificate, and I said, all this fucking proving, all these years I done spent my life sacrificing my soul to prove my worthiness to this motherfucking man, and he didn't even sign my birth certificate. Now, I know what y'all thinking. Y'all thinking, okay, Tiffany, that's not a big deal. It was probably a mistake. Well, we have different belief systems because I believe that there are no mistakes. None. So if he didn't sign my birth certificate, it was done on purpose and for a reason. So as I'm sitting up here in pain, I'm not kidding y'all. I don't know what the fuck. See, listen, my mother and him were not married at the time. I understand this. But my mother signed my birth certificate, Darlene Nelms. Her last name was not Nelms. So the fact that she signed it with my father's last name let me know that it wasn't no situationship. My mother was probably thinking of that man as her husband. And I know that my father was there when I was born because I remember him telling me how he came up with my name. He came up with my name from a classy woman that he saw in the elevator, and her name was Tiffany. And he said he was so impressed with her, he wanted his first daughter to be named after her. So that is how I got my name. So you in the elevator looking at a goddamn woman giving me a goddamn name, but you did not sign my birth certificate. And now it dawned on me why you said what you said. See, when he told me, don't mess with my children by my wife, those are my legal children, and I didn't even marry your mother, what he was unconsciously saying to me, and although my conscious mind was not aware of it, and maybe his conscious mind was not aware of it either, but the subconscious is always aware of every fucking piece of energy that somebody gives you. Here's what he was saying spiritually. He is saying, I am not seeing you as my spiritual daughter. I am seeing my children as my legal children. I am living under the law. I am living under the law. And the law says I have a legal obligation to all the children that I signed their birth certificates, because I am acknowledging that these are my children by the law. Now, here's the thing. It freed me. It freed me. See, this is why you got to go ahead and face your demons, because what my spirit then said to me as I was sitting up here crying, just crying, hot tears, y'all, about how many times I looked for this man approval and he didn't even sign my birth certificate. And I was asking my spirit, why didn't this man Why didn't this man sign my birth certificate? And Spirit said, you weren't his seed. You are always mine. And that just, oh my God, that just fucking freed me. All those years of trying to prove myself to him, trying to prove myself that I was a worthy sister because I was the only child that wasn't from his wife. And that's also the case on my mother's side. My mother has children that, you know, she had from her husband. So I'm like the only illegitimate child on both sides. So I tried to overcompensate because of my insecurity. And I didn't even realize I had a fucking insecurity in this area until I looked down at that birth certificate. So when Spirit said, you were never his seed, you were mine, it freed me. It freed me. It freed me because you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision. Are you going to live by the Spirit or are you going to live by the law? And this man, my father, was saying, by the law, I am living by the law, and you are not my legal child. And the reason why it freed me, because I said, oh my God, if you are not my legal father, then I am not legally obligated to seek your approval. I'm not legally obligated. I'm not. Then my ego, because my ego had been bruised by this shit. My ego stood up. I call her Black Dragon. And she said, call that motherfucker right now and tell him, because you are not his legal daughter, because he did not sign the birth certificate, tell him to unlist you as his emergency contact and put his legal daughter, his legal firstborn child, as his emergency contact. Tell him to stop calling you and telling you that you are the oldest child and you have to bear the responsibility of the oldest child, because legally you are not. His legal eldest child is not me. It's the child that he signed the birth certificate on. See, if you're going to live under the curse of the law, we going to motherfucking live under the curse of the law. But if you're going to live by Spirit and by grace, we going to live by that too. But when you said in your logical mind, and men tend to be more logical, and they are supposed to. I'm so grateful for men. But when he said, you are not my child from my wife, I didn't even marry your mother, he was making a fucking statement. And I surrender to it. I submit to it. I am not your legal seed. I never was supposed to be. I was born from the Spirit. I am, see, the scripture says something. Now, I like all religious books. I always have. But the scripture says, Tiffany, I will be a father to the fatherless. And I guided your spirit, and I have protected you because I needed you to be after my heart, not his. And while you were so busy trying to seek his approval, I have always approved of you. Always. So there is no reason why you have to keep bowing down to this man. And that freed me. And I'm still kind of shook about it, because when you are dealing with toxic traits, see, overcompensating, feeling like I wasn't enough, feeling like because my father had rejected me, all other men would reject me. All of those things stemmed from that man telling me that. And it broke my heart then, and I didn't even know it. I didn't even know it, you guys. I didn't know it. But today I'm free. Today I'm free. I remember one of my sisters calling and telling me, she said, Tiffany, you've never been a real sister to me. And when she said that to me, it hurt me. It hurt me so deeply, because I had been trying all of my life to prove that I was a good enough sister. And I always fell short. I always fell short. But here's what my spirit told me yesterday. My spirit said, go out and find my daughters. Go out and find my sons. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for the sisters that I have found within this group. I'm so grateful for the brothers that I have found within this group, because y'all are my spiritual family. You guys were born after the Spirit just like I was. And we are connected through a spiritual bond. See, it's a little bit different when you choose a sisterly bond based on spirit. I am choosing you. I don't have to have you because we didn't come out the same vagina and we didn't swim around in the same nutsack. I am choosing you because my heart, when it sees you, it fell in love with you because I know that you are a child of this universe just like I am. And I have so many sisters and so many brothers and so many mothers and so many fathers. I have so many. And if you are like me and you have a lot of toxic issues because of abandonment issues from your mother or your father, then consider some things because there are no motherfucking accidents. Maybe they couldn't be your mother or your father because they weren't worthy to guide you. Maybe they weren't spiritual enough to lead and develop your soul. So the universe had to take over. Count yourself fortunate. Count yourself fortunate because you don't have to live under the curse of the law because you weren't born from the flesh. You were born from the spirit. I love you guys. I love all of you guys. And thank you for sharing this moment with me. I love you and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye, guys.